Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague, with me like always is Noah Bailey. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania came out a few weekends ago, and we've both seen it. Now we're going to review it.
Yeah,
What are your initial thoughts?
I think Kang is awesome.
Yes. That, yes.
Yeah, now I know, but still, it has to be said.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors was definitely a major highlight of this movie.
No, and like I love how this Kang was so different from the version in Loki we saw, and it kind of put home the fact that like these are variants. It's not all the same because I remember I rewatched the ending of Loki, and it was just it was just this guy who's just like he's just talking, eating a snack while he's telling them about how the universe could end and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
this guy seems much more like still calm and casual, but very firm.
Yes.
He's like, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, but one way or another, this is going my way. Like he's very no nonsense, but like in a very more menacing way.
Right. So, I did really, really enjoy Kang.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen it,
Oh, for
you're
sure.
not going to, because yeah, well, like that's just kind of how the movie is right now. I'd say my number one issue I had with this movie. Well, let me just put this way. I overall enjoyed it. I liked it fine enough. It wasn't like the greatest thing ever. It wasn't. It was probably my favorite of the Ant-Man movies, which isn't saying a lot. I don't really love those movies, but but overall, I had a lot of fun with it, and that's really all I want when I go to see a movie in general. As long as you don't like annoy me past a certain threshold, and I
Yes.
have fun with it, overall, I have a good time. My number one major issue I have with this movie is the entire time I never felt like any character was ever in danger. I never felt
Yeah.
like there were ever any stakes.
None whatsoever. Which is weird because like this is supposed to be Kang. He's supposed to be this big deal, and it kind of feels kind of childish.
And then, yeah, because like the only thing that could have happened in this movie that would have raised the stakes is if Kang did like it was shown that he actually got out, but that probably didn't happen. There are a lot of fan theories that him getting sucked into that little thing actually did somehow teleport him out. Like that could happen later, but the entire time, like halfway through the movie, I had a realization where it's like, wait a minute. Once one of them gets out, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they were able to just travel into the quantum realm just normally. So they should be able just to get them, get them back out.
Mm-hmm.
So like when the portal closed and Ant-Man and Kang are having their fist fight, like the only way this could be bad, like the only way to raise the stakes is if Ant-Man dies here, but that's not going to happen. so
Right.
like because of that, the only thing I really think of is even though I really, really, really liked Kang, the I know his suit was damaged. I know he's not at his full strength, but him not winning in a fist fight against Ant Man was a little weird.
Right.
Like
And
Ant Man's no slouch, but like, come on.
I bet he kind of is, though. I mean, compared to like, especially how he was talking mad hype. He's like, "Oh, have I killed you before? You're not Thor. You're not the one." I'm like, "Okay, you've handled Thor. Ant Man should be nothing." Like,
I mean,
come
when
on,
he
man.
handled Thor, he had his chair, he had his suit on, he had like all of his tools available, and maybe something in the quantum realm makes like alone makes his power weaker or something. I don't know,
Yes,
but
but just
this, this man is centuries old, at least. Like he's thousands of years,
yeah.
multiple timelines of life old, and he can't win a fist fight just by himself. Like I
No.
don't know.
And again, Ant Man, who is by no means anyone has ever said has like certified hands, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of a it's
like
a serious blemish on the old villain resume. Like it doesn't. It's hard to take that seriously because I feel like yeah, how it should have ended with like something like, oh man, this guy is not to be messed with.
right. Like I feel he should have killed Hank or killed
Yes, Hank
uh,
and Janet probably.
yeah, Hank and or Janet. Like one of them, one or both of them needed to die in order for this movie's like to actually feel like something. But
Yeah, but even then, it probably wouldn't have been enough. But like, I definitely thought Janet
yeah,
was gonna die.
and then but in the end, it was just Hope that came through the portal and blasted him, and then oh no, they're stuck. But wait, no, they're not, and they got out. It's like okay. It's like that moment only existed because they realized late into the script, like, oh wait a minute, Hope hasn't done anything this entire movie.
Pretty much.
Like
Like,
I'm okay with it being called Ant-Man the Wasp because Janet is a wasp. So like it's about the Ant-Mans and the Wasps. Sure, I'll take that.
mhm.
But Hope, what like Evangeline Lilly was barely in this movie.
She did the. I mean, she did the. I'm almost going to do something. Is what I call it. Because
Mm,
remember, like there was the standoff, and she almost used the stinger blast, and then
right.
there was the other standoff. She almost went into the fight, but didn't. And it's kind of like you're not real. Like when Cassie has more fighting scenes than you, then like you it something's not right.
Right. Well, yeah, she went into the like quantum storm. What is it called? The reality field
The
storm.
core or whatever,
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
which was a very cool scene. I really enjoyed that. Um, it was that kind of stuff is the stuff I wanted to see more of in this movie.
Hmm.
Like overall, visually, I liked this movie, but I feel like it wasn't different enough from stuff we've seen in other like space movies. Like this, the visuals felt right at home as something like a Guardians or even like Thor: Love and
Hmm.
Thunder or something. But this is considering this is a completely new universe of stuff that like according to Hank, our minds can't even process what's going on down there. But like it's just aliens, like it's just like
It's fine.
you know
Yeah, and also just kind of like it. While there were good moments here and there, the overarching thing, like he's like kind of like the no stakes thing, but it also felt like it had that we're doing a lot's happening, but nothing's happening at the same kind vibe. And
yeah.
yeah, like I don't know, it kind of just felt like, especially the part where it's like where like it's the two groups split up, and like where it's like Janet not explaining for like the whole
Oh,
movie,
that
and
annoyed
it
me.
was like
That annoyed me a lot.
it was the whole Last Jedi thing. It's just like explain, like there's no reason not to explain at this point. Like you're just being stupid now. Like you're just doing
Right.
this because plot.
Like
Like you
yeah, not not that the entire thing would have been fixed if she had just explained earlier, but once you're already in the quantum realm, why not just explain as you're walking to your next destination? Why wait until
yeah.
well into the movie to explain? Like, there was 46 minutes between the intro of the movie and when Kang finally showed back up. Like,
Mm.
you could have. I feel just for pacing in general, you could have like had the backstory like kind of cut in and out as you go, but instead it's all just like dumped, kind of like 2/3 the way through. Like, oh, this is a little weird.
Right. So it feels rushed, but you still like just now getting that information. So it's like, because it's kind of, and again, it doesn't really make sense thematically. Like, maybe if she had been having flashbacks while they were walking around, it would have been maybe
Mm,
like something where they can tell the viewer can still be in the loop while the other characters aren't, if you want to make sure to keep that.
yeah.
But it doesn't make sense to keep that anyway. It's like, hey, we're all in here and we're stuck until further notice. You might as well tell us everything we need to know.
Uh huh.
But
Especially since I don't really understand why she's so freaked out now when like when like she was she was like at the after credits scene of Ant Man the Wasp, or yeah, Ant Man the Wasp, they were sending Scott back into the quantum realm. Like
Hmm.
I know it wasn't like to like the same place, but you're still interacting with it again. Like it seems a little incongruous with you now freaking out. Like you're why are you contacting the quantum realm at all? It's like, but you already did before.
Just right.
Like maybe you could argue
It's like,
something because the timelines got split in Loki, but that
yeah,
doesn't
but I
really
mean,
work because that who knows like if that the whole like
well, that's the thing.
when that happened is kind of innocuous because like did it has it already happened? Did that actually impact anything? Did the timeline actually change at one point? Or was it just always going to happen this way? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they like. Is that even the same timeline? We don't like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of like because of how time travel has been established, but also how the variants work. It's like there's really no way of knowing
Yeah.
if that really affects it, or if it's just, oh yeah, we hadn't thought that far ahead. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of just
Yeah.
like a little bit of both, but still, it doesn't like canonically, it doesn't make a ton of sense anyway.
Mm.
And also, just kind of like I don't know, it felt weird because it was kind of like how like if you she seemed very in on like Cassie was doing stuff
Yeah.
and like but then was like shocked when she found out what she was actually doing. It's like, were you not a part of it? Like, it sounds like you were a part of this the whole time, and now you're like, wait, you're doing what?
Or was it just her and Hank and I don't know. Yeah, it's there's a lot about this movie that I think was a lot of fun, but an equal amount that either didn't work or confused me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what did you think about Cassie overall?
She was okay.
Yeah, she's fine.
Like, she was kind of a plot device, but
Yeah.
also the like lesson was kind of terrible. Because it was like, yeah, I'm breaking rules. Why? Because that's what rebels do, like kind of thing. It was
Yeah.
kind of just be a rebel because, and it was kind of like that doesn't really make any sense. But
Yeah, and I know this might be a little thing, but like this was her first time ever growing big that we know of.
mm-hmm.
And the first time Scott grew huge, he was like wiped out for a while. Like
Right,
it's not an easy thing he can do. And she even said like, "Oh, I'm feeling super hungry."
yeah,
And then the movie keeps going. It's like they didn't eat
yeah.
anything. There's nothing to eat down there.
No, I mean, all they did was what, drink the ooze, pretty much. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
that's got vitamin C in it, but I mean, but it's like, yeah, I'm like, it feels very, when you're big, orange slices and all that's such a huge deal, and then here it's just maybe it's different in the quantum realm because I guess it's like even though they're huge, it's relatively not as huge, so it's not the same. I don't
But
know,
they're
but
still able to shrink in the quantum realm, even though I thought that was supposed to be like the smallest you can be. But I
yep,
guess because it's a different universe, technically, kind of, it
maybe I
physics
don't.
work differently. I don't know.
I don't know, but it makes no sense
Yeah,
because yeah, they were able to go. You're already in the quantum realm, and then they were able to become as tiny as they are in the real world in the quantum realm again. It's just like it seems
yeah. And then that didn't even they didn't even use Ant Man's actual powers to defeat Kang. Like outside of like Hank controlling the ants, I guess.
hmm
But like Scott himself, he didn't shrink or grow to actually kill or defeat Kang. He
yeah. He just
Wasp,
straight up punched him.
yeah, Wasp him with her blasters, but like if you're going to defeat Kang in this movie, I feel you need to do it in like a more creative way to show that like yes, he is still super powerful, but like and his arrogance was the better of him or whatever. But instead,
Right, or like a we didn't necessarily win, we just survived kind of thing
yeah,
versus just, oh yeah, I give him the old left hook, and it's like, really.
uh huh. Yeah. So, what did you think about Modoc?
Oh man, yeah, that was not
I
amazing.
kind of I kind of liked
It
him.
was I. It was an okay idea, but the execution was rough for me. Like, I like the scene where it's like, "Come on, just don't be a dick," and it's just like, Really, we're doing this? Like, come on,
Yeah.
that's like,
He I really like how he is the same guy who was the villain from the first movie.
mhm.
Like I don't mind at all that they changed his origin. I know some people are up in arms like it's not just like the comics, but like who cares? I really don't care. As if it's a guy who is a big head in a like he looks like a Modoc. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, I mean, it's just giant floating baby head, and it's just
Yeah,
with an armor suit.
I do kind of care about the fact that they decided to put a mask down, which that mask, that like helmet mask, looks like how Modoc should look, but then when it comes back up, that's not how Modoc looks. And like I like Modoc so much because whenever he's blowing stuff up or just chasing people, like he has that big grin and like laughing maniacally.
hmm
But we couldn't see this Modoc do it because the mask was down. It's like that was a weird choice. Um, but I really liked how he had this connection basically to to everyone in the the Ant-Man family, because in the comics he has this connection to Hank because AIM is his biggest like rival
hmm
and like they create him somehow. But here he's more linked to Scott and Cassie, but and and Hank. And so I like that, but you're not wrong. He didn't have an arc. He didn't really do much, really. Like, yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, it was kind of just there to be an extra antagonist to kind of keep the parties separated unnecessarily.
Yeah, and I would argue that you it was maybe the wrong choice to have Kang in the movie at all as he was. Like you could have just had Modoc be the main villain and have Kang be like the one who built him and like
Over the
it
back. Yeah.
in the shadows and stuff. Maybe show at the very end, like make an escape, attempt to leave, but then can't for whatever reason. But and just have Modoc be the main antagonist, but instead just he's just kind of there. I like
Mhm.
when he's on screen and fine enough, but you could have done more with him. You could have made him a more focal point of the movie, but they just kind of didn't.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's weird because again, it's like I like how they made Kang so the focal point villain, but it's just he seemed a lot less stronger, and it kind of made Modoc feel kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but kind of like, are you sure you want to use that character here? Because based
Yeah.
on this, you're probably never going to use it again. So
Uh huh.
kind of like it kind of feel like Taskmaster again.
A little bit. Yeah. Like obviously Taskmaster is going to show back up on other stuff, and you can have another character. You can do a Mandarin thing where like a different character shows up later who's like the real Taskmaster, the real
Right.
Modoc, which might feel a little bit of a cop out, but AIM does exist in this universe, so you could just have them do it later, I guess. I don't know, or have somebody somehow like come down into the quantum realm and like collect his pieces and put them back together, Humpty Dumpty style, I guess. I don't know. Like, um,
Yeah, I guess so.
yeah, I guess that's kind of my overall feelings about this movie as a whole. It's like I liked some of it, but almost everything I liked, there's like a caveat to it. But it never bored me. There was never a moment where I was necessarily angry at the movie. There was some things where, like we said about Janet not telling people what the heck was going on, but almost every single character was I enjoyed when they were on screen. I thought at least the majority of the jokes landed pretty well.
Yeah.
Luis not being in this movie was a terrible oversight. What the heck?
Dude,
Why? Where is he?
it was my friend brought that up like right at the end, like, and she was like, "Wait a minute." Because again, that's like the one thing about every Ant-Man movie that I would like, you kind of look forward to. And you're like, and like, granted, it makes sense for him not to be in the quantum realm, but like, I would have loved like, even if it was like an after credit scene or something, and he
Yeah.
was just like, they're explaining what happened, and then he's just like, "You did what?" Like, you know what I mean, or something like that, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Or have him reading Scott's book at the beginning of the movie.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah, or have him do the audiobook or something. Like just
Yes, like they could have just listened to him in the car or something. Like
yeah.
that would have been good. I think yeah, him reading the book because again which I think they did spend a little too much time on, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
So because it was like it was funny because I was like, this is gonna be the most Marvel movie start ever, and it's just like, oh hi, I'm in New York, I'm an Avenger, but people think I'm the wrong Avenger, but everything's great, but sometimes it's not, and it's just like this feels like the start of every movie ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think having Louise read read his book or just narrate or something would have been a great touch.
Right. Like I liked how in that little montage Jimmy Woo showed up, but I feel like if he's like, I like hanging out with my friends and meeting new people, but like, why is Jimmy Woo the friend that you like? I feel like there are other people who you've known for longer.
Right.
I love Jimmy Woo, but he like I don't know. It was not having him in this movie was the misplay of the
Criminal.
century.
Yeah. It's a little late. They dropped the ball there, unfortunately, because again, it's like I mean, he is that fan favorite of the Ant-Man movies. He's there like Wong or there like Korg and stuff like that. It's like
Yeah.
he's the fan who everyone just loves any moment he's on screen.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely kind of a misstep there. But again, I guess they wanted to really focus on like the quantum realm and everyone involved. So I guess they just kind of didn't think about it.
Yeah. So like essentially my overall thoughts on this movie is I did enjoy it, but if you're one of those people who's kind of wavering on like, is like thinking like, is the MCU getting stale? Is it not for me anymore? If you didn't like Multiverse of Madness, Thor, etc., like I was hoping this movie would be that movie, like reinvigorate. Not that I don't really feeling that way, but like I could tell watching it. It's like this is not the movie people thought it would be. It's not as big. It's not as what's the word? Innovative. Like it's just not as creative. It's not as good as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
Like,
and especially with like no real like consequences or no real repercussions of any kind.
Yeah.
Like they all got back home safe. Kang was stopped. Nobody died. Like it felt way too tidy of an ending to have any impact. Because it's like they essentially, I mean, there's no real climax. I mean, they're essentially the same as they are when they started, aside from Cassie has a suit now.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Because if the big like stinger at the end of the movie was, wait, so because I stopped Kang, does that mean there's this other bigger thing coming later? I'm not going to worry about it. And then after credits, yeah, other Kangs are coming. But if they had just not gone to the quantum realm, if the machine hadn't malfunctioned or whatever happened, if they just hadn't even like activated it, yeah, the other Kangs would have just come anyway. Huh.
Yeah, I guess maybe they wouldn't have come as soon as they did, but it's like, there's no, I don't know, there was no, the movie felt very much picked up exactly where we started before we watched it, kind of. And I think that's never a huge, especially with an overarching story that feels very tough. Because
Yeah,
it's just kind of, come on, what do we do this for?
yeah. So I recommend people watch it at some point because like
Mhm.
once it comes to Disney Plus or like whenever, but like it's it's definitely it also kind of feels like this is a movie that let's put it this way. I feel like Ant-Man should have gotten a third movie and then this happened. This was not like a trilogy capper because like
No.
it kind of feels too big for what Ant-Man should be.
Yeah, and it also did I know it's Ant Man, but it didn't feel like it was about him really,
Yeah.
which is weird because I feel like the only people who went through any kind of change are like Janet and like
Yeah.
kind of Cassie, but
Kind
not
of.
really, and obviously Kang. And it's like I feel like Ant Man was like the fourth most important person in this movie, which
Yeah.
is kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of giving a Doctor Strange effect where like it is his movie technically, but other characters are focused on maybe more
Way
than
more.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Over like a six, 6.5 at most, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think like a six is fair because it's just like it's fine. I'll maybe watch it again, but like it's not a movie. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till this comes to Disney Plus. Like it's kind of just
Yeah.
I don't know, especially like the whole like I like the whole quantum realm thing. We're like, oh yeah, it's just a whole universe for people alive, but it's like the fact that we had no idea going in that there was anything like that in the quantum realm just kind of
Hmm.
like I feel like if they had have kind of explored this a little bit in a previous movie, and then we were like, oh, we're
Yeah.
fully going in now, because like they're all just learning about the quantum realm with us
Hmm.
outside of Janet. They're like, what? And we're also like, what? like,
Yeah, there was apparently a deleted scene from Ant-Man and the Wasp that showed a little bit of Janet like showing them around, but I don't think it would have even really been what you're looking for. It,
mm,
yeah.
yeah, maybe just like I guess they expanded it way more than it happened originally, despite other characters having been there many times.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, like obviously I am super excited for other kings to come in King Dynasty or wherever else they show
mhm,
up. Obviously Loki, the after credit scene had a scene from that. That's gonna be good, obviously, because
yeah.
Loki is great. But like, yeah, this was not the movie I was hoping it would be. As like a standalone thing, I think it's overall fine. But in the big grand picture, it was it was a little disappointing overall.
Yeah, yeah. Like it kind of like I mean, it's an Ant Man movie, so you can't be like, oh, I was expecting this to be knocked out of the park because they've all kind of been okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I guess I don't know. I guess I expected this one because it's the third one, and Kang is really getting his debut more or less outside of Loki, and it's kind of like, okay, this is gonna be, this one's gonna be the knockout of the park, and this one was kind of the same energy as the last couple. Just that was
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah. But and yeah, clearly a lot of people seem to agree. I don't agree with the 40 something Rotten Tomatoes score. I think
No,
that's a bit too a bit too harsh, but it's definitely not doing the it's not even close to doing the box office numbers they were hoping it would do. Um, like had a decent, like a pretty good, like for Ant Man, pretty good opening, and then since it's had pretty steady declines. So it's probably not gonna. It maybe will hit 500 million by the when it's all
oof,
over, but that'll actually be the lowest selling Ant Man movie. Not what they were hoping for.
no. And again, I think it's the whole we expected a lot and we got basic, not nothing, but like nothing really changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really thought like, they're gonna kill Scott or like something serious was gonna happen to him, but it's like, no, we're fine. Like that's no arc. There's no change. That's not anything. It's like if anything, the only person who had an arc was Modai.
Yeah, and even then, it was it didn't really amount to anything.
No,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. Oh well. Um, well, moving on to another Marvel thing. The Mar3vels originally was announced to come out in July of this year, has been moved to November of this year.
Hmm.
And I personally am of two minds. I am honestly pretty glad this happened because I think this summer would be just a little too packed with stuff. So moving it out of
Yeah.
July, just give this movie more time to to cook. Nothing else coming out this year. It's not like you're pushing anything. That's fine. As far as this year goes, moving it, however long you need to, that's fine. However, because this movie got moved out of this summer, you easily could have done a second season of Miss Marvel this year and expanded and told a better story in a better way with better CG than what we got.
Way better pacing.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean that's a good point. And people would have been more used to, more remembering of, oh yeah, Ms. Marvel, like, versus last year. Because it's like we haven't seen, except for that one cameo, we haven't seen Captain Marvel in anything in years. And,
Yeah. Well, not
Miss
since
Marvel's
Shang-Chi. Yeah.
right, and that was for what, 5, 10 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, she didn't even do anything.
Nope.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of just like, okay, we had Miss Marvel, which kind of fell off the rails. We haven't really seen Captain Marvel in a long time, and when we have seen her, she's kind of just making cameos, not really doing anything.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, okay, this is what you're kind of just like you have no idea what to expect. You're just like, okay, what's gonna happen here? And I know part of it is kind of like, well, you want to be kept in suspense a little bit, but it's like nobody has any idea what we're doing here.
Right. And also, we haven't seen Monica since February of 2021.
Right.
It's been it's going to be a while before all the Marvels meet up. But that could have been mitigated if you did, two
Season
six-episode
two.
seasons of Miss Marvel. And I know these things get scheduled out years in advance. Originally, the
Yeah,
Marvels
that's
was
the thing.
scheduled for
Hindsight.
Originally, the Marvels was scheduled for November of last year, then pushed to Ant Man's release date, and then Ant Man, this movie got switched. So now Ant Man was February, and this was July, and then got pushed to November. So
Yeah, I mean they probably need more time to figure things out because I mean they probably don't know where they're going. And it's kind of like, I'd rather you take the time you need, but at the same time, it's like, where are we going with this?
yes, like I am, like I said, I'm very happy they are moving the Marvels to later, just to give them more time to work on it. Like I think that movie has potential to be pretty good, but with the last couple of Marvel movies looking visually
Mhm.
just not the best. Like, like they can do better. I know they can, but apparently a lot of resources that went into Ant-Man and the Wasp got siphoned off and put into Black Panther, which was a good decision. But instead, you could have, you know, just put more resources into making both good. But at least they're doing that
Yeah,
with
I
the
mean,
Marvels. And the Guardians is going to be fine. I have no
yeah,
doubt in my mind that Guardians 3 is going to be fantastic. But
yeah. No, that one's gonna be just fine. I mean, they know what they're doing, and also this one. Granted, while we don't know exactly what they're up to, this one has a little bit more. like an idea, like, because it's like, okay, are they gonna be? Is it gonna pick up kind of where Thor: Love and Thunder left off? Or are they just gonna be helping other people,
Mm.
or are they gonna just kind of, just doing whatever, like, just doing Guardian stuff?
Yeah.
So that feels a little more safer than like, okay, we have the Mar3vels. It's like, what are they gonna do? Well, I don't know. I haven't seen any of them interact, so I have no idea how this is gonna go.
Right.
Really, because we haven't seen. Like, I mean, they had a cam, they had, Miss Marvel had a cam, or Captain Marvel had a cameo at the end of Miss Marvel, but they didn't
Mm.
really interact. And then I don't think Monica Rambeau, since she's got her powers, has interacted with anyone outside of WandaVision.
Not technically since the Elseworld and Doctor Strange.
Right, and that doesn't really
That does
count.
not count. No.
So
So no.
yeah, so we have no idea what. Yeah, that's just. I guess we're just gonna figure that out. But I feel like that's a lot they're gonna have to cover very quickly,
Yes.
and that feels kind of worrisome.
Yeah, and like it's not uncommon for the second, like for the sequel movie to introduce a bunch of new characters. Uh, you know, Iron Man 2 introduced Black Widow, Nick Fury, Rhodey as War Machine. So like it can be done. That movie is a shining example of a good Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like, uh, for a better example, you know, Captain America: Winter Soldier introduced Falcon, yeah, and teamed up with Black Widow. So it it can be done,
Yeah,
but we'll see how
we'll
well it
see.
is done. Yeah, but I'm still just annoyed. They could have, like Miss Marvel. It looks like it had such potential, and like there are parts of it I really really like. And if they had just had a whole season of stuff I really really liked, I spent more time with the stuff I didn't like as much to make it better. It would have been a really good show. But instead, it's just kind of like,
Yeah, squandered potential,
yeah.
but
Oh well,
what can you do?
yeah.
They're just cranking out the shows, and I was like, whoa, man.
Yeah. One more Disney thing. The first trailer for the Peter Pan and Wendy movie releasing in April for Disney Plus was announced, or was shown. And I don't know what's happening over at Disney, but every single movie Disney puts out recently has this weird, like, I don't even know like if it's the filter or if it's just bad lighting or just something's happening over there where you can't see what the heck is going on ever. Did you see this trailer?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You like I've complained before about in a Little Mermaid like this
Yeah, I was
this
just like that.
like whatever happened to like creative kids movie? Like this is not it's a remake or you know like a loose interpretation of this super creative, super visually interesting movie and it just looks kind of bland. Like I
Is it
don't know.
like dark, like Little Mermaid?
Yeah, it's like darker than the Little Mermaid trailers.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that seems very unnecessary. Because I mean, it's Peter Pan. I mean, one of the characters is literally like a little ball of dust that blows up. Like,
Yes.
it shouldn't be a lot of darkness.
I don't know. It's a very consistent issue. Like, even like Marvel movies have kind of had that issue for like I love No Way Home, but there are some points in that movie where I can't really tell what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
like it just like some things on Disney Plus are kind of lit the way it just it's an issue with Hollywood in general, but especially Disney movies just seem just so desaturated and uncreative. It just I want it to stop. Like as much as people bag on Thor: Love and Thunder, that movie actually like was very bright the entire time to the point where they were in the Shadow Realm. Like I could better see what's going on in the Shadow Realm than I could during the climax of No Way Home. Like how does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And like, yeah, they made sure that when the heroes are on the screen, they light up. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, there's. I think that's some. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, it's weird. I don't know why they're doing that. I remember, like, like the Little Mermaid is like, I feel like needs to be a very lit up. Like, I know, I guess they're trying for realistic, so the ocean floor is probably not bright, but it's
Don't
like, what are you
don't do
doing?
that.
Right?
It's a
It's like
movie.
nobody cares. It's not that serious. It's not that deep.
uh,
And then and then Peter Pan is just kind of like, okay, this one, there's no excuse to be dark. It's supposed to be lit up all the time.
it's an imaginary realm. You can make it look however you want. They choose to make it look
Yeah.
like it's night all the like. Even scenes that are supposed to be during the day look like washed out. It's weird.
No, it's like, this isn't Gotham City. It's not
Yeah,
always raining. Like, you can
it's
use some
one
color.
it's one thing with when like something like the Pirates of the Caribbean or Harry Potter franchise, where like as the movies go, the movies themselves have darker tones, so it makes sense for the movies to overall have like a darker feel to them. Sure, that's fine.
Hmm.
I think Harry Potter went a little too far with that too fast. Whatever. But like the third Pirates movie has a like the lighting is and like the overall color grading is good thematically, but it also is to the point where you can still tell what's going on. The CG still looks great. Like you can still tell where our characters are, who's who, etc. Whereas in Little Mermaid, they apparently showed a shot of Ursula, but I literally it was just a black screen. Like I literally couldn't tell what was going on. And same with Peter Pan. Like I assumed that was Peter. I assumed like I could, but like I could barely tell what was going on half the time. But whatever, it's coming on Disney Plus, so you can watch it if you want to. uh, Yay! More Disney remakes of movies I didn't.
Things that don't need to be remade.
Yeah. Whatever.
never, never understand it.
Mm. So the last bit of news I have I think a pretty funny one. So you
Hmm.
know how Microsoft is trying to buy Activision Blizzard?
Yes.
Yes. So Sony has been trying to stop this deal from happening ever since it was announced, claiming that if they if they own Activision Blizzard and they put their games on Game Pass and like prioritize Xbox for like DLC and updates until like they'll people will want to move from PlayStation over to Xbox, which I think is funny for a couple reasons because like shouldn't you want people to stay shouldn't you think that your system is good enough with your exclusives alone but whatever like whatever like you're basically calling yourself out where like people don't like our exclusives enough to stay in our system so they're only playing Call
Right.
of Duty here. Like interesting whatever. So in order to show that Microsoft is willing to share, they struck a deal to give Nintendo consoles Call of Duty games for the next 10 years.
Whoa.
They struck a 10-year deal to give Nintendo Call of Duty. And
No.
the way it's phrased is that they struck a deal with Nintendo, but like everything about this deal is just Microsoft giving them stuff. I like nothing in the deal from what I can tell is Nintendo has to like share anything. It's just basically Microsoft was like, "Hey, how about we give you this thing so that way they'll let us keep this thing." And they're like, "Sure. That works.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll take
Okay.
it."
Well, yeah, 'cause yeah, it's like Nintendo. They're not struggling to keep people. They're like, yeah, people will come.
Yeah. They're probably releasing a new system next year. Release Call of Duty with that. Sure, go. Like, yep.
Yeah. They're
Like,
slowly assembling all the game types anyway.
it's like we they're just over here doing their own thing. Like, oh, Call of Duty. Yeah, sure, we'll put that. It's like, well, there's no additional effort on our part in any way. Sure.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I'll take that for free. Like, why
Yeah.
not?
Like, who knows if it'll actually pay off? But regardless, like, they'll have Call of Duty.
I mean, I feel like it would, especially over the next 10 years. It's got to.
But will they essentially be able to convince the FTC that this them sharing with Nintendo will that convince them that they're willing to share with their direct competitor Sony? I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just found that very funny. It's just like
How much? How much? How much was it again?
the Microsoft buying Activision deal.
Yeah,
It was like
isn't it
$67 billion.
yeah, like something crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like they're
Wow.
they're not gonna pay $67 billion and then cut out the system that sells the most Call of Duty games. Like that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's apparently the deal is supposed to like be officially heard and go through maybe in sometime this summer. So that's just it's. I just wanted to get it over with. Like one way or the other, I don't really care, just so I can get out of the news.
It's a pretty serious update though. It's
I mean, it
just kind
is.
of
It
like,
is. It's a huge deal, and I kind of wish it wasn't happening because I think monopolies are bad, and this is getting, you know, scarily close to a monopoly when Microsoft owns Bethesda and Activision Blizzard and it's like all these other people. It's like it's a little much, but what? Okay.
that's the thing. It's like if you don't have like if you don't have your exclusives, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Like
But
that's kind of Microsoft's biggest issue is they don't really have exclusive. Like this year, their big games are Redfall and Starfield, which are Bethesda games. So like Forza might come out this year, but who knows? Like
yeah,
yeah, like if it wasn't for Game Pass, they would not be in a good position at all. But and I guess they're hoping having the revenue from Activision games would help, and it probably would. But oh well. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign off?
I got nothing from here.
Okay. So with that, we will see you all next time.
Take care, everybody.